We are back continuing the NBA Draft Best Team Fit series for this upcoming NBA Draft, and this one is going to be for the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavs obviously lost the last playing game, so they are the last team in the lottery with the 14th best odds heading into the lottery next week. We're going to assume that they're going to be at the pick 14 and not in the top 4 because they only have a 2.4% chance of getting into the top 4. This pick is supposed to belong to the Indiana Pacers from the Caris LeVert trade last year, but it's lottery protected, so the Cavs get to keep it. I do think there is a chance the Cavs could explore using this pick in a trade package if someone like Donovan Mitchell became available, because with the unexpected leap that the team did take this season, their young guys got them really close to the playoffs. On top of Colin Sexton returning from injury but also being a restricted free agent, they could try to go get someone to pair in the backcourt with Darius Garland, a star scoring guard like Donovan. I think would be perfect. We're going to focus on the pick here at 14, and when you look at the roster, I think instant impact wing is exactly what they need. They took Isaac Okoro at pick 5 a couple of years back, and he really hasn't blossomed like they want him to. And when you look at who they have with Okoro, Cedi Osman, Caris LeVert, there's definitely room for another wing to step in and have an impact in their rotation right away. And even if they kept Colin Sexton, who obviously plays more the 2 guard in the backcourt, but having guys that play the 2 and 3, they could definitely use another one. We know the Cavs have a great defense, mostly interior, but their offense is kind of where they struggled most. They had an efficient one. They shot the ball pretty well, but in scoring volume, they did not do well. So I think the offensive side of the ball is going to be the biggest focus. Names of Shaedon Sharpe and Benedict Mathurin and AJ Griffin sound great, but I don't think there's much of a chance that any of them fall close to them at 14, but that'd be a dream scenario. That being said, I do think there's a slight chance that Johnny Davis could fall because there's so many 2 and wing guys like him that could offer scoring right away, so maybe he skids a little bit if a team doesn't want one of those guys. He's definitely a natural 2 guard. He's got a really polished scoring game, so you know what you're getting from him right away. He's going to help Darius Garland in the backcourt. He can handle the ball when he needs to. I think he could be a good partner with him. On top of the offensive impact, he's got a really good defensive motor, so he's going to help the perimeter defense for sure right away. And yes, he does fit what they need, but this would become a best player available pick also, so it would be the best of both worlds. Again, maybe a slight dream scenario, but he's got to be number 1 because if he does fall, he's not going to go past 14 to the Cavs. Perfect fit for them, I think, at 14 is Ochai Agbaji from Kansas, the Final Four most outstanding player and national champion. He's an older, experienced off-ball scorer, but an absolute lethal sharpshooter on the catch-and-shoot threes. He shot 41% from 3, 45% on catch-and-shoot, and half his shots were threes. He'd be the instant impact offensive role that you exactly need. 6'5" with a 6'10" wingspan, and he's an athletic defender, so he does everything you need on day 1 to impact the rotation. He's got great awareness, being able to find his right shooting pocket, so he's going to play off Darius Garland, who's a great passer. And the Cavs have a good defense, but mostly on the interior, like I mentioned, so Ochai will help a ton on the perimeter defense. He'd be able to guard a lot of guards right away. The Cavs could look back in a year or 2 and maybe beyond that and say that they got a steal of a guy who impacted their game right away and helped them leap into the playoffs as a contender, just like the Grizzlies got Desmond Bane to do the same thing. The experienced college wing sharpshooter, strong with good length and athleticism, and one of their most impactful pieces that they've gotten in the last few years. We know they need offense. Jaden Hardy is one of the best pure scorers in the entire draft class. The G League Ignite guard has all NBA scoring potential if he puts all the pieces together. He definitely had some rough early league games in the G League this season, but he was adapting to a role from high school into pro-level competition, pro-level athletes on a new size court, rules, etc. He's going to get you buckets all over the floor, similar to how Johnny does. I just think he's a little quicker and more agile in his game. And he'd be a massive spark to the offense, maybe off the bench, maybe in their starting rotation at some point throughout the year, but someone that I can see being paired with Darius Garland in the backcourt for years to come. Malachi Branham from Ohio State is another scorer I'd like the Cavs to consider at 14. He skyrocketed on draft boards late in the college season with his Big Ten breakout. He's a 2 guard in my book, the way he plays, but he's 6'5" with a 6'10" wingspan, the same measurables as Ochai Agbaji, who I mentioned before, who can definitely play the 3. He shot 50% from the field in the season, 42% from 3, which is incredible. He's got a great mid-range. He's a really smart scorer, which I love. He always knows how to find his spots. And similar to the other guys, he's got a really good defensive motor, so he's going to be a competitor and impact both sides of the ball right away. Another G League Ignite guy that I'd like the Cavs to consider is MarJon Beauchamp here at 14. MarJon is definitely more of a true wing. He's long, athletic. He loves to play above the rim. I'd say he's probably one of the 5 or 6 best athletes in this class. His biggest struggles earlier in the season definitely came from his outside game and his outside shooting, but he's shown signs of developing that the entire season. So I'm pretty confident that's going to improve to where it's definitely not going to be a weak point in the NBA, and it's going to be something he can use to his advantage. But this athleticism and explosiveness is definitely something that the Cavs don't have at all, really, and definitely their wing room. And MarJon should be there, and it wouldn't surprise me if his draft process went insanely well and teams really started to consider him in the lottery, especially here at 14 for the Cavs. I don't see a chance that the Cavs stay at pick 14 and none of these guys are available. They'll definitely be able to get one of them, but considering wing scorers like Bryce McGowens and Blake Wesley, who definitely offer different skill sets and I think are more of a long-term play but can still offer instant impact, are also considerable. Bryce is a long scorer. He could be an offensive steal. He's 6'7", being able to score in the lane and at all levels, honestly, like he can at that length. His defensive game is definitely questionable, but largely in part to focus and effort, not really ability, because he's a great athlete and with long arms and the body type to be a good defender. So I think down the line, he could definitely be that. And Blake is a bouncy athlete as well. He's 6'5", but he's got a 6'11" wingspan. So I think that does give him versatility to play the 2 and the 3. He's an exciting yet slightly raw prospect compared to the other guys that I mentioned here. And I think he could need a little more long-term work than the others, but there's an aspect of win now for the Cavs. So that's why I do prefer the other prospects to Blake, but the team is young, so he's going to be good for years to come potentially if they do it right. Offense to me is the name of the game for the Cavs, especially on the perimeter and the wing room. That puts my final draft board at Johnny Davis at 1. That's a dream scenario, but still at 1. Ochai Agbaji, Jaden Hardy, Marjon Beauchamp, Malachi Branham, Bryce McGowens, and Blake Wesley behind. And if I had to guess, I'd say the pick is going to be Ochai Agbaji. The fit just makes so much sense. The Hawks are at 16, who could also use a guy like that, and I don't think the Cavs would let him slip. And I also don't think that a lot of the other teams in the lottery are going to go for the older prospect for an instant impact like the Cavs need, because they are a playoff level team. And honestly, even if Johnny and Ochai were both on the board at 14, I really think there's a chance that they would go Ochai Agbaji. I really think the fit is absolutely perfect, and I think it's going to happen on draft day, assuming they don't get into the top 4 in the lottery. Appreciate y'all for watching and supporting. As always, remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already, because you don't want to miss any of the NBA draft content coming out throughout the summer and also the college basketball stuff. Again, appreciate y'all. Hope you have a great week. Peace.